take advantage of those who are already on the back
In a
foot of
bad-
society.
Right. She stands a bit more upright. So what would you even be asking of my family? An assassination mission or something? Connor gets closer to you guys. He's like a good 10 feet away before, but now he just gets closer.
Well, I don't even know what's proper.
Or what will probably
There
be.
might
Fae
be.
fighting Fae is nothing new. The only concern I would, be concerned over is the power vacuum that it would create, as well as retaliation from the other Babas. Don't get me wrong, the three of them, despite being a coven, absolutely despise one another. Betrayal begetting betrayal and all that. But nonetheless, they are Fae 3, a coven made. To remove one of them from it would deteriorate the power for the other two that survive.
And I suppose they all need to go. No loss for the world.
No, not particularly.
What about guaranteeing
But that would then send out a ripple of other implications across other fairies, particularly the Nesselgloom Tribunal. I know they often send things the Babas' ways. Contracts, missions.
They certainly do.
What are the chances of, if we did manage to take one of them down, of them just getting back up in some way?
Oh, most likely. Every proper fairy of any proper caliber has a backup. Or they're outright unkillable. I assure you, only Baba is not one of such. But if you were mortal, in a loose sense, if you were killable in this sort of grand scale, I'm sure you would do the cautious thing and put in contingency plans of coming back, or at least punishing the one that killed you, eh? So I'd anticipate such. Do I know what it is? No. Could I find out? Maybe. Although I'm usually cooped up here. I heard out in the hall that you guys plan on going to speak to the YFA emissary, eh? You'll meet Darling Nevi there, eh?
Correct.
That'd be the plan.
Ask her.
It goes horribly wrong.
She is, by choice, by obligation, by very nature itself, our emissary. Until she dies. Which is not apt to happen. At least in the foreseeable future. How about unfortunate? We lost one. Just got two. And a third so soon would be right tragic. Oscar.
Okay.
That's the thing about being so evil and conniving like the hags. Those hags often are. Not to say hags in general aren't like that. You foster enemies.
To
She
strike
thinks
with
on the
the
matter.
borrowed blade.
She thinks on the matter for a moment. Neither court particularly cares, at least officially. Hags often fall into the domains of the winter if they had to pick a court, though. That's not to say there haven't been summer hags, but more likely the winter court. I don't claim to be a nexus of alliance information. Although I could try asking my husband. Definitely more his line of work. I suppose that's what Abigail's gotta go talk to her about.
Well, here's hoping that she's convincing.
Barra shrugs. The Eidolon shows up with, like a cake stand, like an actual cake stand, which is like a big flat thing with like a big heavy base. Yeah, it's literally holding just 2 of those.
Okay, which one's Ruhan's?
And then the other Eidolon comes in with like a tray filled with the glasses and milk and stuff like that, and cognac and honey meat and stuff like that. And then another cake stand. And these are like glass covered domes, so you can see the whole cake is in there. It's not like, well, okay, one cake has a slice cut out of it. But other than that, it's 2 whole cakes and 7/8 of a cake.
Oh,
Class, if Ruhan eats 1.5 cakes and Kyra Tavish eats 1/8 of a cake, how many cakes are left for the rest of you?
None. They're all mine.
Yeah.
Ruhan goes until
Collapse
everyone
at
else
the
is
end.
done.
Class, that is
Yeah.
fine.
He leaves us like a
Who would
single
buy
strawberry.
60 lemons?
Not even that. We just get like the scrapings from the knife. That's what we get.
You have no power here.
They set down the cake and begin cutting into them. Well, cutting into the one that already has like a slice missing of it, and then they just sort of present the 2 to you, Ruhan, and just take off the glass dome covered lids and just hold out a fork. It's like a big fork, like one for you. Like it's not the same size as Kyra's. It's like a bigger fork.
Yes, this is Mott indeed.
Most not. And then one of them sets down some bottles of honey mead. One of them begins pouring the cognac. Actually, no, it doesn't begin pouring the cognac. It holds up a bucket of ice with like a little scoop. Well, little to compare to it, but as it approaches you, Raze.
Yes, very good.
Do you want to take it dry, or
I just pick the bottle and start.
Straight
the Eidolon then just walks away. He just goes back to the kitchen or wherever it came from. You know what they say about teams of hearty appetites? She doesn't finish off that.
No.
Lies.
Connor gets a smirk though.
I'm surprised
say-
he's not
They say-
drunk already.
They say you have hearty appetites because you fight or run very hard. So you need all the food.
Oh. I suppose that's not wholly inaccurate. But for me, it's more of a
Sign of status. Strength.
something like that. More of that what was lost.
She nods sagely at that. As you guys imbibe the cake, though, well, those of you that do imbibe the cake, roll me a D100. It's 50-50, baby!
And 100 and 98.
Ooh, dancing on the line there!
Yeah, oh my god.
About 250.
Dancing there, Ria!
It's actually
Rufia.
48 and a
Rufia.
half or higher.
Oh, that was perfect time. Yeah,
That was
Nice.
perfect timing. Roll me a D100. DC 51 and above.
Does
What's
he have
a DC
advantage because he's
threshold?
eating entire cakes?
Okay, you know what? Shit, you right. Yeah, roll 2 and we'll take the lowest one. Shit, you right?
Damn.
Oh my god!
They're both good.
We had it anyways! All of you that imbibe the cake. Oh, I hit the mic with the remote. Awkward. Take an inspiration.
Ew. This is inspirationally good.
Listen, we're in the Feywilds now. I can start giving magical meta stuff. Looks at Lucky Nutfield.
God, if only we could get there.
My player
maybe.
on Wednesday says if you guys get to like you guys roll that shit, he'll be salty. Like he wants to get there first, and I'm like, all right, man, whatever. If they roll, they roll.
So, can we have like a range of possible numbers?
No,
Oh,
no, you don't get to raise your hopes and anticipations.
fair enough. Fair enough. Inspiration.
I will say it is a 5 subsect here. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough. But that's typically how. Fair enough. Fair enough.
My tables usually go by 10s.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or rather, it's 10s for the most part, and then 5s when we get to the extremes. Then that's when stuff.
That's
Because
Mine
time
just
that.
normally go by whatever.
Fair enough.
Sure,
Yeah, take an inspiration.
just order it.
Divine cake. Consume. Oh, yeah, that's right.
No,
You're
I
right.
really need to get the recipe for this, like, hot damn.
I can give it to you if you want. I'm not sure if it'll come out the same, though. It has some ingredients specific here to the Feywilds. But if you manage to get your hands on it, you know.
I'm sure I can find an equivalent down at the market.
Sure.
At the very least, if you try and you miss, you'll probably hit something good.
One of the Eidolons walks up, reaches into its internal, like, inside, like, the breast pocket, and it's a little notepad and a pencil. Thank you. Begins writing down a recipe.
Divine cake added to.
No, divine cake recipe. You gotta make it yourself.
Apologies.
To be
Cake
honestly,
recipe.
it's pretty it's semi-mundane stuff. So you know how it's not that no.
That's what I
So
had in my
you know,
head.
like normal stuff in the mortal realm, and there's fey stuff that could be really bonkers and wild. There's also in-between stuff, which is to say, again, like a magic deer. What's magic about it? It's got glowing horns. Anything else? No. Okay. Just magic deer.
Insight check.
AKA, it's God. You know the deers in the beginning of God of War? Yeah, it's like those ones. What's magic about them? They have glowing horns. What else? Do they like eat people? No.
Are they tasty?
They taste like venison.
So yes.
Yeah, it's like that, right? Like there is a scale of mundane to magic that the Feywilds dances upon, depending on which area you're in. The stuff she describes is along that middle area spectrum area of it's mundane ingredients of like flour and eggs and stuff like that, but then there's like something else added onto it. It's like eggs from a golden goose. You're just like, where the fuck am I gonna find a golden goose? Right? Like something like that. Like it sounds normal and you could totally make the mundane version of this. Is this gonna provide divine empowerment? Probably not. There's a reason why all the magical ingredients come into play. That being said, you'll probably make a bitch ass, fucking cake recipe nonetheless. Or you could give it to Billy. And assuming Billy doesn't already know, unless she already knows the recipe.
I mean, yeah, I won't be surprised. Doesn't hurt. It's a kind gesture.
The D&D campaign is just going to devolve into like some sort of food
We're all
acquisition
just
thing. Yeah,
I mean,
it's like,
I would not be against such.
New goal.
Hell yeah.
Oni Baba, we're here for your lemonade recipe.
you're going to die. It flies away. Fuck. Oh, she left a
So
picture
Back,
behind.
arrows.
She left a picture behind. A picture fit for a giant. Oh, sweet. No, a recipe.
That's how we beat her.
That's
With
the
power
end of the
lemonade
game.
and friendship.
That's the power. That's the end of the campaign. The end.
We just walk into the traders.
Nah.
You can make any food, but can you make something
God,
that's
what
good?
cloud giant lemonade must be awesome, though, right?
Hmm?
Because it's gonna be like so cold and refreshing, right? Anyways, getting too far into the bit. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Anything
true.
else you guys want to do? Anything else you guys want to bring up to Kyra?
There's
one
also tea.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, she,
Well,
she
no,
was just,
tea was mentioned, but then the cake got brought up, and then it got replaced with honeymead instead of tea.
No, she was mentioning like from when her Raze and her Rose were talking. We're just like, oh yeah, you remind me later. And it's just like, well, it's later.
Oh, I thought you meant for like actual tea.
Nah, she just wants like tea that reminds her of home for later when she is homesick.
Well, are you guys leaving right now? Well, here, I'll do it in
I
game.
think so.
Are you leaving so soon?
After
Yeah.
Abigail's business, yes.
Very well. She looks at the Eidolon. It just nods at her and begins striding away. Not walking, striding. That's how awesome it is.
Bound
Like a behemoth.
You know, guests are like fish. They're nice to have, but start to stink after a while.
I assure you, I've had far more troublesome guests than yourself, and ones that stayed a lot longer than the short amount of time you've been here. We've only had just one meal together. No, I don't mind if you all want to stay a night, even a week, or so on. But, obviously, you have business to attend to, so I shan't keep you, but Don't feel like you're a bother. You're not. I'm happy to have more people in my home. It's so quiet otherwise.
You're a faithful woman, right, Miss
She nods.
Tavish?
Aye.
To whom?
She gets a bright smile. I would be lying if I said I only served one true god.
Well, you have a focus.
Aye. Do I look the sort to be worshipping Goshak Krognak?
At this point,
Anyone says yes has to roll a deception check with disadvantage, alright? That's all I'm saying.
it's like, no, Rose's response is just like, at this point, I don't know. I have assumptions, but I don't know.
Only if he was so lucky.
Such a charmer. I particularly pay homage to, as I said, a small subsect of gods. True gods. I don't think it would be in any way surprising to hear multi-face Seshab in that account.
Rose does like a faux gasp.
Given who I'm married to. But Allhost Jaxero, I believe, should have a place in everyone's hearts.
At least they're whole.
Aye.
Fitting.
For a time, I was one of Exalted Lord Octavian's, but Fae have little to do with civilization and commerce. The harvest, certainly. The seasons in the mortal realm correspond to the ones that spin here in the Fae Wilds. But, nonetheless, the other two aspects are gone. Heartbroken Alicia. I've spoken to her on a few occasions.
I shouldn't be as surprised hearing that you speak to actual gods.
I assure you, she is the most down-to-earth deity. Because it is upon her shoulder you cry upon in tragedy. Not some facsimile or angels. It is hers.
Did you meet her in good circumstances?
Hi. I have.
That's possible.
Gave me some advice, actually. Yet a Kane, I think every adventuring group pays homage to. Him and Krem. Jeddah Kane, as well, I've had the privilege of speaking to. Although, I didn't know it at the time. True to the stories.
We haven't met
Jerry
your
Khan,
famous
that's
king
him
yet.
with the stories, yeah?
Mhm.
The god of bards. And
God of travel.
travelers. The god of the road, more or less. Contrary to Exalted Lord Octavian's principles. I suppose to say, no. My apologies. Exalted Lord Octavian is the god of roads. But Jeddah Kane is the god of the path.
Distinct
Raise
difference.
nods at that, yes. Paths. Very good.
So it's only the true gods you speak to then.
I mean, I've spoken to a number of fell gods. You'd be surprised how many of them show up here every now and again. But in terms of pay, honor, and homage to, only the true.
I mean, considering you could probably go toe to toe with a number of the fell gods, yeah, that tracks. And your dearly beloved could definitely go toe to toe with most of them.
He is one. What do you mean?
Yeah. Shit.
In a technical, or I rather say, a literal sense of the word, aye. More closer to the divine. More closer to the divine than any other fell god, in my opinion, though.
It's a very interesting in between.
Aye. Oh, while you were gone, talking, whatever you were talking. What were you talking, by the way?
In the conclave of
Yeah.
closets.
Oh,
The
yeah,
what?
yeah.
She looks at Connor. Did you bring them to my shoe closet? It's not your shoe closet. That was the house's shoe closet. Yes.
Very nice
Don't
dress wearing.
backtalk your mother.
He gives you a slow, like Stewie, like turning his head at Brian from Family Guy look.
Hold on, just real quick. Nope, she cannot stop herself from laughing out loud. she catches herself too late.
Manners,
Oh my God.
manners. What was it, the line? Manners maketh man. He just continues looking at you, not angry. It's just, are you serious? Look, like just open bug-eyed, like you bitch lasagna look. Anyways, he eventually just blinks once and then turns away from you and ignores you. Anyways, while you are busy with your conclave closets, my husband brought up something that you have a specific book that would be beneficial in accelerating.
Yes, I believe it's. The way they work is it's several years out of date. Well,
Yes, the inscriptions on them wear down and the effects of them don't work until you have the entirety of the thing read. I've seen such in my time. Barrett, or not Barrett. Connor opens his mouth to say something, realizes he shouldn't say it, doesn't say it. Do not comment on a woman's age, especially if it's your mother. Or
No,
do and not care, one or the other.
100% last session when you were mentioning, like, oh, she looks like she could be, like, Abigail's sister. The thought went through my head of, ask her age, and then the second thought of, that's stupid, immediately followed.
I can tell you what will happen. You get one for free. I'm gonna ignore that.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah. So, anyways, she knows what you're talking about. I see it. Or rather, I take possession of it for a spell.
yes, please.
You hand it over to her, and she begins paging through it, seeing how much of it is there, or how much is left to recover for it to be properly used, to be actually used, rather. I think it was 22 years, or 20 or 22 years. 20-something years.
Less than 25.
Yeah. Yes, less than 25.
22, yeah.
22? Okay, sweet. Yes, I remember. Fuck yeah.
Good job.
She closes it up and puts it in front of her face and just sort of wraps her fingers upon it, like just sort of thinking. Looking more akin to like a maestro student in that weird regard. She looks over and goes over to the Eidolon, the one that's still here. Do you think between, say, 4 of you, you could sort this? It holds a 5. 5 it isn't. She gives it out to it. It gingerly, delicately takes it. And then walks away with it. 22 years. That would take... Well, between 5 of them. I know you all want to set out immediately, but if you want me to sort that for you, you might have to stay here for a bit longer. My apologies, I should have asked before I handed it out to him. And she like switches her finger, and it comes back. If you are willing to wait, say, she looks at the Eidolon, it holds up 5. Yes, I know that. Oh, you mean 5 in nods. 5 hours.
Oh, I said that.
I think we have that to spare.
Yeah, I think
That's
5
not
hours
bad.
isn't too bad.
It
you're about to
lowers
say, like,
one of
5
my
days,
fingers
to
like
be
halfway. What? Oh, 4.5.
Oh, that'd be
Depends on
fine.
complications.
There's 5 Eidolons divided by 5, so it's 4 point. Da 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 da. 4 point.
I don't just know Abigail's conversation is going to take a small amount of time anyway.
A very fair point. Then allow me to set about helping. She just puts her hands together and just sort of wags it like, please and thank you, at the Eidolon. It nods and backward walks out of the room this time and then turns and goes around the corner.
What are they gonna
She gets into humor then. Well, they're simply going to accelerate the time on it.
How?
What do you mean how? They just do. They can make spheres of influence that could be accelerated. Similar to how my husband has all of this, and she gestures at the household. This is in his realm. As servants of this realm, they could, with permission...
Minorly.
Exactly.
Okay.
But between 5 of them, and my permission as Madam of the House, some hours.
Huh.
There's a chilling realization with that.
Hmm.
What if you put a
That's
person in
over,
there? I assure you your father has child. Great. They deserved it. Uh-huh. I'm sure they always end up deserving it.
Wow,
She rolls her eyes. She rolls her eyes. Like, she knows she's not gonna be able to convince them, but she's not gonna bother. She knows what her son's about.
Do this. It will.
Thinks about trophy room.
Keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't give up.
Trophy
Oh,
room is just a
no.
bunch of glass cylinders of people.
Mm-hmm. Don't really want to think about that just now, to be honest.
Those Eidolons, they're not native to here, are they?
They actually are, to a degree. Similar to how Cassavera himself is native to here.
But also
Right.
celestial being.
Correct.
If I had to take a guess, those are a product of the god of hearth.
No. They are,
Session.
to a degree. The Eidolons didn't exist until I came about. So, in technicality, they're multi-aspected.
Did your husband ask for them to be made just for you?
No, I demanded it.
Fair.
He wasn't going to help me. I needed helpers.
And you only have one of 3 children that will help you.
The one that only showed up as of this recent generation, yes.
Hmm.
I assure you, I've been with Cassavere far longer than any of my children. Connor thinks about something, and he chooses not to say it.
Yes. My condolences, milady.
Nah, it's fine. But, anyways, the
Oh,
Eidolons
no.
are partially for